Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I am back out here at the hangar and going to be doing some work again over the next 5 or 6 days or so. After the framing is done, there's just a bunch of stuff that have to happen before sheetrock. There's really not any particular order that you have to get those things done in. So there's lots of stuff for me to do. So we're going to do a little bit, we'll have a little bit of a change of plan, and let's show you what we're going to try and work on this time out. Okay, so I have a lot of kind of small projects that I'm going to be working on, things that are easy for me to do by myself. The first one, which is actually going to be probably the lowest priority, so I'm not going to start on this. We'll do this whenever I get a free time. But I bought a bunch of wood plugs to go in and glue in wood plugs into all these holes where all these screws were, if I can find one. So there's one on the tread here. You know, so we're gonna go through and we're gonna fill or glue wood plugs in, and then I gotta sand all the wood plugs smooth. Probably not here on the stringer, it's not a big deal, but sand them all smooth here on the treads. And I'm gonna paint all of these treads, the treads and the toe boards, I'm gonna paint a dark gray to kind of match how I painted the upstairs. The other things that I was buying supplies for when I was out running around today is I need to build some kind of false backs where the sinks stick out further than the wall. So here, for example, the drain line doesn't stick out closer or further than the 2x4 wall, but you can see that the water supply lines actually stick out further than the 2x4s. So I bought some wood that I'm going to use to build kind of a false back here. And how I want to actually do it, since I'm going to be going through the effort to build, kind of build a false box that comes out, and then they'll just sheetrock up to it, is I want to go ahead and put doors on it so that you can just open the door and you'll have access to all the plumbing stuff. So if I ever have leaks or problems in the future, I can at least access the door, and I can access all the water supply and at least kind of the drain down to this point. So I'm going to build some boxes that are going to stick out, and then the drains will stub out probably from the middle, and then I'm going to figure out, I got a good idea of how I want to do it, but I'll have the supplies come out from the top above the door so that you can open the doors without having to move them. So that's kind of what I'm going to work on with that. So I think I got enough supplies. I have to build boxes for 5 sinks because I have the sink here, I got 2 sinks here, I got a sink here and a sink here, so I have to build 5 boxes for sinks. I got, this is wood for building the boxes. I got some more wood here for building the boxes. So it is starting to get kind of late tonight. So instead of jumping into building boxes around the sink drains, I'm gonna do something a little bit easier. I'm gonna start gluing in plugs into all these screw holes on the stairs, and if the glue dries in time tonight, I may come back and try and start sanding them flush. Morning guys, it is the next day. It is Thursday morning and I'm about to get back to it. So last night I jumped on the stairs and I got the plugs installed. So let's take a look at it. So here we are looking up the stairs. As you can see, I got all these screw holes plugged with these little wooden plugs, and I got them all sanded flush. So we got all the screw holes filled up. I tried to start jumping on painting it, but it didn't turn out like I expected it to. So we ran into some problems. So what I did was I bought a different paint than I had used up on the top floor because I was at a different store. I don't know if you know this, but like Lowe's and Home Depot have brand exclusives. So what I used to paint the second floor was this Bear paint, which I got from Lowe's. But I wasn't at Lowe's when I was buying this paint. I was at Home Depot. So I picked up this Valspar paint, which I thought was the same thing. They both said, you know, porch, floor, and patio paint. They both showed pictures of, you know, dark gray floor. But I tried to put this paint on the stairs, and it came out this weird, clear kind of thing. And so I was reading it, and this is a very different paint. This is an oil-based paint. You're supposed to have primed everything before you paint it, so it's not going to turn out. So what I want is I want more of this, because I was really happy with how this turned out on the upstairs. I just put a single coat down, nice kind of gray finish. I didn't prime it or anything. I just put it right down on top of the wood. So I want to get more of this to put on the stairs. So I need more of this. So I am on pause there until I go to the store. So we are done with the stairs. And in the meantime, this morning, I'm gonna jump down here and I'm gonna start building the kind of false backs for the sinks. So I'm gonna start working on that, because once I get as far as I can on that and I figure out what I'm missing to do all of these, I can have a good list of all the stuff that I need. And I'll just make one trip to the store this afternoon or this evening, and that way I can finish out all 3 of these projects. So let's hop to it. So I want to take a minute and kind of explain what I'm doing. So these boxes are going to be hidden behind the vanities, so you won't see them. But despite that, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take my time and make them look as good as possible. I guess what I'm doing is I'm practicing, because in this house I'm gonna have a lot of built-in shelves and built-in desks and all sorts of stuff like that you are gonna see after all the sheetrock and stuff is done. I'm gonna go through and have a bunch of built-in shelves and stuff. So I'm kind of practicing my carpentry skill here on these boxes. So I'm using like a pocket hole jig to try and practice. So, you know, we have the pocket holes here for the screws, and I'm gonna try and make it so that everything will be hidden, or all the screws will be hidden even after you see it. And essentially, so I'm just taking time and I'm doing this in a way that, you know, I could just slap something together and nail it up and say, okay, you're never gonna see it anyway, because it's all gonna be behind the vanities. But I'm gonna make something strong and something that I think, or I'm gonna try and make something that kind of looks good. And essentially I'm just practicing for when I come back later and do all the built-ins. Okay, so I think you can kind of see what I'm going for here. So this, the top 1x6 and bottom 1x6 will stay put. I'm gonna drill my holes, and this is where the water supply for the sinks are gonna stub out right here. And then this plate right here, I'll drill a hole for the drain, but this whole panel will come off. So I'm gonna install some clips in here, and I'll probably put a couple handles right here that you can grab onto. And so this whole plate will come up and go over the drain. And if you ever need to access it, you'll just have to unhook the P-trap from on the other side of this wall, and then you can just pull this whole door off and you'll be able to access all the plumbing inside. Okay, so there is the first one done. So I think you can kind of see what I'm going for here. Go over here and pull this out. So this is where the P-trap from the sink will tie into. I haven't glued this down yet because I may shorten this length up depending on what the final sink kind of looks like. So I haven't glued this one in place yet. And I got this piece of trim, which is a split ring type, so you can split it and put it on over this pipe even after this has been glued on. So essentially, we'll take it off for now. So essentially, this will be glued on, and when I want to access the plumbing, I can just kind of grab these handles and the whole thing pops off, and I have access. So I just put these latches for keeping cabinet doors shut. I just put 4 of them on there, and the whole thing will just pop on and off and allow access to the plumbing. So there's the first one done. I just got 4 more to go. So once again, it's time to jump to something else, and I'm going to do a take 2 of attempting to paint the stairs. So let's hop to it. Well, I forgot to turn the hyperlapse on to record while I was painting, but here is the painted staircase all done. I ended up going with a little bit darker gray because they didn't have the same paint at the store that I went to today. So I bought a couple gallons of this little bit darker paint. I think it turned out pretty good. So I'll just, and it'll help differentiate for when you're walking down the stairs from the upstairs. It won't all be the same color, so you won't accidentally miss that first step or anything. It'll kind of draw your eyes, bring your attention to the fact that you're about to walk down some stairs. But there it is. There's one coat on. It probably will need some touch-up places here a little bit later, but I'm going to let that dry overnight, and I'm going to call that good for today. All right, guys, good morning. It is the next day, so we are going to jump back on the false backs that go underneath the sinks. So once again, I ran into a stopping point. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed from yesterday, but I originally over here on this first one that I made, I had made it so that this board, which dictates how far it sticks out from the wall, was a 1x8, which is 7 1/4 inches thick. Standing back and looking at it, I thought that I had given myself too much extra space. I didn't need that whole extra, from here, extra 2 inches out. So I ended up ripping those down to the width of a 1x6. So I took 2 inches off of them to get them down to the size of a 1x6, get them down to 5.5 inches actual depth. And so over here, I went ahead and I did that same thing. And I still think that's the best decision moving forward, is to keep this a 1x6 just to minimize this gap. Because there's going to be sheetrock here, but I have to build a vanity that swallows around this box. So when I'll probably buy a vanity, but I'll probably have to modify it to fit around this box, and shortening this depth up by 2 inches, because it was all the way out to here, I think will make it a lot easier to modify the vanity. But what I'm running into now is that face plate has to swallow around this, which I should have bought a 2-inch by 1.5 inch T for these vanities, but I didn't know that, and so I didn't buy any at the time. So what I'm doing is I got a reducer that reduces them back down to 1.5 inches so that the normal hookups for a sink will fit. But now I have to get that front face plate all the way around this big OD here, which is like 2 3/4, a little bit more than 2 3/4 inches. And my biggest hole saw I have is a 2.5 inch hole saw. So I need to go get a 3-inch hole saw, which I went around and I measured, and I'm gonna have to cut 3-inch holes for essentially all the rest of these kind of faux boxes underneath the sink. So I know I need to go get that to finish those out. I need to get some junction boxes to finish out the sub panel until the splices get here, and I got some stuff to return. But it's a beautiful day, so I think real quick I'm gonna take a 15-minute mini bike break. Okay, well there's the second box done. So there's 2 down, 3 to go. All right, guys, it is actually a couple days later. So Kelly, my wife, came out late Friday night. She stayed all day Saturday, and you probably saw her bouncing in and out of that last time lapse that we were kind of filming some work we were doing on Saturday. Today is actually Sunday afternoon, and I just got back from taking her to the airport. I didn't do a whole lot of filming yesterday because we were bouncing around working on a bunch of little different projects. But let me show you some little things that we have done now. We mainly were working on the boxes under the sinks and doing some painting and just a little bit of electrical stuff. So let me show you what we got. Okay, so we did finish all the boxes. This is the easiest one. This one's for the shop sink. So this one, the drain and the water supply actually didn't stick out, and it all fit nicely inside of that 2x4 wall. So all I essentially did was make a little plate covering here that you can just pull off to access to the drain, and I'm gonna stub the water supply shutoff valves out right here. The sink in the kitchen is almost done. I accidentally cut the hole too small, so I ended up having to cut out the hole saw for the drain a little bit bigger, but that door's getting painted, or it's painted and drying right now, so I'll put that up as soon as it's done. But we can go look at the rest, which are actually complete. So here we are. Here's the ones that are in the master bathroom. So there's one vanity, and there's the other vanity. Kind of like I showed y'all before, that whole middle door there pops completely off. It'll slide over that drain and give you access to everything. And I will stub the water supply valves, so the blue PEX and the red PEX will stub up. I'll drill holes in this top 1x6, and that's where they'll stub out. So the isolation valves will come out of this top 1x6. So you'll have a shutoff valve here and a shutoff valve here, and then the sink will tie into the drain. And then the last one, which had to be a little bit wider over here in the guest bathroom, is also done. The other thing that we worked on, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk right here just because it's windy outside, is we painted the front door. So Kelly actually got that all painted up. We put 3 coats of black oil-based paint on it. There you can see, it turned out really nice. We're really happy with how it turned out. Well, all right, guys, that is going to do it for this video. It has been a crazy, hectic last 4 or 5 days, but I have to take off and go to work today. So we did accomplish quite a lot while I was out here. Kelly got the front door painted. We got the boxes that hide false walls but underneath all the sinks built and painted. So we did accomplish quite a bit. It kind of felt like it was slow going there for a while, but once again, that's just kind of the nature of this slog, where we just got to work through all these little things before the house is ready for sheetrock. But that's going to do it. So I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you on the next one.